Hi guys, Blake here with Lilleys Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful Upper Lake Taneycomo. It is March 5th of 2020 and this is the one cast. Today I have boated up here. I'm right next to the tennis court over on the shallow side. And I am going to be throwing, starting off, I brought a variety of different color of jigs that have been working lately. But I'm going to start off with the black and white jig. And that's on 4-pound test. And that's a 16th ounce black and white jig. I stepped off the dock to give a demonstration of how to work a jig earlier today for a group of people that came down. And I caught a fish on the first cast with it. So I'm hoping to reproduce the results. It is a absolutely beautiful day on Lake Taneycomo. We got bluebird skies. We got a slight breeze, and it's probably just right at about 60 degrees. Had a group of guys that took a John boat out for about 2 hours earlier, came back. They were dragging night crawlers. I think they were, I didn't ask them, but I know that they said they weren't going to go above Fall Creek, so I think they were starting at Fall Creek and drifting down, and they said that just in 2 hours they were on their way to catching 50 fish. So sounds like maybe dragging night crawlers was a good trick today. I haven't got to talk to any of the guides. Ooh, that was a hit. To see what they've been doing today, but we had a group setting off the end of the dock they were also using night crawlers, and they said they were catching some creek chubs. Really milking this first cast. All right, nothing officially on the one cast. Talked to Dwayne 2 days ago when he went out on his trip. He said that they were catching them jerking the jerk baits, and also they did really well on jigs up behind Eagle Island and up in the slough across from Point Lookout Island. I think he said the black and yellow was the jig that was working well that day, which black and yellow has been a pretty good choice lately. Actually, a lot of the black combos, this black and white's been working well for me. The black and yellow, the black and chartreuse, I think black and olive I heard somebody was using the other day. I've been doing quite a bit of night fishing lately. Up at Point Royale, I've got a buddy who lives there. That is private property. Just to be able to walk down from their parking lot, it is. But I've got a buddy who lives there, and we've been going out behind Point Royale and night fishing the jerk baits in the kind of in the slack water that I just pulled up to a second ago, and it has been very productive. I'm gonna trim my motor up. We're going over some shallow water here. I think the other night we were up there, and in just 2 hours we had landed over 20 fish, and we had a bite on almost every cast. However, if someone was inclined to go night fishing from a boat, you could probably pull up right there to that area and the slack water behind Point Royale and and anchor down and throw jerk baits. I imagine jigs and streamers would probably work too. It's been pretty productive back there. I boated up here today because it was one of the only spots I could find that looked like the wind wasn't blowing as hard, but kind of getting back into the wind now. And I'm thinking I'm gonna switch over to the tri-olive jig, or as Dwayne likes to call it, the Popeye jig. And I have noticed that it works well for me, at least whenever it's pretty sunny outside. Point that. There we go. So I'm gonna start off with the dark tri-olive. And there it is right there. That's also a 16th ounce. I've got that on 2-pound test on this rod, feels like. We'll see what happens. Oh, I just watched one chase that up and hit it. Dang it. I'm gonna scoot the boat back. He kind of hit right next to the boat, so I might be drifting over the top of the fish right now. There we go. So the water that I'm fishing in, initially to where I'm casting, is probably on the 7-8 foot side of things. So I'm letting that jig drop for about 5 seconds or so before I start working it, make sure it's close to the bottom. And then, you know, every 2 seconds or so, I'm jigging it back up off the bottom. Even if the fish weren't biting today, it is just a absolutely gorgeous day to be on the water. I've had quite a few people walk in today and rent a boat. And I believe that for the next few days at least, the weather is going to look just like this. So if you're in the area, I highly recommend stopping and getting out on the water. There's one. Silver bullet looking rainbow there. So with the wind blowing like that, I'm casting upstream because as the wind pushes my boat, it's going to make the jig travel this way. So to compensate for that, I'm casting it kind of like I'd be casting off of a dock. Oh, there's another one. You gotta be careful picking them up with this 2-pound test. I try not to do the bigger fish because it generally ends with a broken line. Another thing you can do for the wind is, you know, in 2 units of flow, like they're running today, you know, 16. Oh, there's another bite. I punched myself in the chin trying to set the hook on that one. When the wind's blowing like this, you can get away with a 3/32 ounce jig for sure. And I mean, if the wind's blowing as hard as it is right now, you could probably even get away with an 1/8 ounce, especially if you're using 4-pound tests. I think it's going to be a pretty busy weekend on the lake with the weather predictions, at least. As far as I know, they're going to keep running around this 2-unit range of water. And that's just, for me, that's ideal water speed for drifting something or for jigging or really for anything. Last night, Dwayne invited me to help him with his jerkbait painting demonstration for the Missouri Fly Fishing Association. That was a good time. I hadn't actually ever got to watch him paint one of the rainbows. right now to combat with the wind, I'm also doing more of like there's a fish. I'm doing more of a little side jerk instead of pulling it all the way up, so that way it stays a little bit closer to the bottom. And of course, holding your rod tip way down while you're waiting while you're waiting for the jig to sink, keeping your line on top of the water will also help it sink. I think I'm going to point my boat the other direction here so I can use the trolling motor to keep fighting the wind. Turn the camera to the side. That should help me keep up with fighting the wind here. Also, I want to get I'm getting close to the narrows here, and I want to get a little closer to that bottleneck to throw my jig into. I bet the gusts are probably getting close to 20 miles an hour right through this chute of the Narrows. Luckily, however, it's only about 3 foot deep, so the jig doesn't have too far to drop in order to get down to where the fish are. This is right in the bottleneck that I was just talking about, where the gravel bar comes up. There's another beautiful little stalker. There's another one. See if I can hold myself in this position. Oh. And I'm looking down in the water right now, and I'm seeing fish stacked up right here on the edge of that gravel bar. Wind, very aggressive. It's actually almost got my boat completely held in place right now. Oh, there was one. I didn't ask anybody, but I think that Phil is out crappie fishing somewhere today. So look forward to hearing how he did on that. On my way up here, I stopped to try to help a group of guys. They were headed straight for me, and I finally saw something floating out in front of the boat, and it was one of their hats. And so I kind of swooped around and helped them locate it and get their hat back before it sank. I truly can't believe how strong this wind is through here. Oh, I had one chasing it up. They're kind of chasing it like a jerkbait today. Kind of giving it a side pop in this wind, and that was the second fish I think that's chased it up to the boat when I was reeling it in. I'm planning on going back to Point Royale tonight for some more night fishing. Thinking about getting out my fly rod for throwing streamers and try to throw streamers on those shallow flats and see what happens there. I hope that this wind blowing into the mic isn't causing too much of an interference with the sound. Farther down, and I'm gonna have to call it a day. I got some boats that are gonna start coming back here. I didn't bring any heavier jigs with me to try to compete with this wind. about enough to blow the hat off my head. Oh, there was a fish. Oh, he came back for it twice. Oh, come on, come back for it a third time. It is really hard to see the line, like the slackness that you see whenever a fish bites. With this much wind, it's just impossible to see. And it's really hard to feel them bite it too. But I cast back into the and that thing I was talking about picking up your fish with 2-pound tests just happened. We got one more here. Oh, that's a 1/32. That won't do. We'll go with black and yellow. I'll just throw this one a couple casts and we'll call it a day. But what I was saying about picking up fish with 2-pound tests, that was a perfect example of that. Oh, and he threw it out of his mouth. Oh, I had another one followed up to the boat. Oh. All right. I think I'm gonna make this my last cast here. All right, one more for good measure. So if you're coming out to do some jig fishing, those tri-olive colors, both the light and the dark, have been working great. The black and yellow has been a good choice, and I'm catching them on the black and white as well. Alright, I'm going to end it there. We appreciate you guys watching, and we will do it again tomorrow.